Australia and Ireland this weekend, folks. Nations Championship getting underway. Joe Schmidt and Andy Farrell going at it once again. The Irish are the favourites, but we'll get to the actual odds shortly. They've got a pretty good record over the Wallabies in recent years, but how can the Wallabies potentially galvanise at home? We'll go through the squad, some of the stats, some predictions. You guys let us know your thoughts. The Wallabies, Joe Schmidt mentioned it in his press conference, didn't have any Super Rugby semi-finals to play in, so they've had a fair bit of time between games, but Joe said they've only had about 4 days in prep time. I guess all the teams are in a pretty similar boat in terms of this Nations Championship, having to prep in something of a hurry, but I'm pretty happy with Joe's team because he's picked on form. Jock Campbell has not played for the Wallabies for a number of years, but he's starting at fullback, and he is, I think, easily the form 15 in Australia right now. He's been getting tons of run meters and busting tackles and has been a very elusive runner at the back, so I'm chuffed for him. Jorgensen and Peach, I think, on the wings also kind of picked themselves. Peach for the Force. If you haven't been watching him, if you're an Irish fan, he has just been playing like a man possessed, looking to take the contact and beat people physically as well as with a bit of pace. And I'm sure pretty much everyone is familiar with Max Jorgensen, the kind of young flyer on the other wing. Okuso Sali'i and Ikitau in the midfield. I think that's Joe's premier choice midfield. We haven't seen the best of Sueli'i in Super Rugby for the Tars, but the Tars had kind of a pretty ordinary season. And then Lonergan and Gordon, the 9-10 combo. You can probably assume Lonergan will be doing the goal kicking because Gordon has done a pretty limited amount of that at 10 for Queensland, but he has been looking to take the ball to the line, which is quite pleasing. So I think even though they don't play for the same club, they could work it out being a nice kind of balanced 9-10 combo that complement each other well, with Lonergan having that extra boot to aim for poles and taking a bit of the extra pressure off Gordon boot-wise, and then Gordon can focus on just running the back line. Wilson, McCright and Valentini is one of the strong areas of Aussie Rugby because their back row is stacked. Wilson has been doing some magic things ball in hand. He's got little kicks in his game. He's got sneaky little offloads. He's got a fair bit of everything. McCright has been tackling and turnovering. And then Valentini, stats-wise, is the biggest carrying option the Wallabies have. What I worry about is them getting actual advantage line ball carry, because that's not been an area of strength in the Wallabies last year. And Valentini, although he's been getting through a heap of work, has struggled for that extra bit of punch. Williams and Canham are your locks, so both very rangy and mobile guys. Ala Alatoa, Nasser and Bell in the front row. I don't know if Ala Alatoa has had his finest season in terms of his scrummaging, but he'll be up against a guy who's not a usual loose head prop in Tom O'Toole, even though he played the Six Nations there. So maybe a chance for the Aussies to exploit a bit of something there. McDermott is your halfback replacement. He is always keen for a wee snipe, so look at him to come on and take on some tired legs. Donaldson and Wright, the other two back replacements. So there's no real midfielder on the bench. They did kind of say in the press conference that potentially Tom Wright could slot in the midfield if needs be, but that would be very much a, someone's injured, we need to do something kind of call. I would imagine Sueli'i and Ikitau play the 80 otherwise. Paenga-Mosa will bring some bulk to bolster the hooker spot. Slipper and Tupou likewise. Tupou is a big body to bring off the bench for sure. Lachlan Shaw will be getting his debut, so congratulations to him. Very high kind of work rate player around the park. And then Tom Hooper, that kind of lock, loose forward hybrid. So there's some size in the Wallabies. They're going to be missing Dalgunu, I feel like. He might have been an easier option on the bench to cover both outside backs and the midfield. Charlie Cale, I think, could add a bit of that punch in the back row, but he's a lot less experienced than the guys chosen. If they can get some go forward, good things could happen, but as I said, they struggled with it last year. For Ireland, it's also a pretty strong-looking lineup. They've obviously got some guys who are out with a bit of injury. Sam Prendergast is preferred at 10, and the guy was on absolute fire for Leinster at the end of the season. Ripping passes, like beautiful, easy on the eye, ripper passes to set up the guys around him. Him and Gibson Park, so it's a club combination at 9 and 10, unlike what the Wallabies have got. O'Toole, I mentioned, is still playing loose head for Ireland, even if it's not his usual position. Sheehan captains the side in the absence of Caelan Doris, and then Tyke Furlong is your veteran tight head there. So scrum time, I genuinely feel like could be an interesting one because I don't think it's been the forefront of either side's game in the last kind of 12 months. McCarthy and Ryan will certainly help that Irish scrum because those are two big lump locks to have there. Obviously, there's no Tyke Burn starting, so you miss a bit of that extra turnover, but maybe gain a bit of bulk. Byrne is on the bench, though, so look out for him to come on. Prendergast, that's Kian, the brother of Sam, Josh van der Fleer, and Conan are the back row. So in the absence of Caelan Doris, who's missing the tour injured, they'll be looking to get the post-contact meters and whatnot from the likes of a Jack Conan. Van der Fleer will be getting through the tackles, and Kian can do a bit of everything, so he's a genuine jack of all trades. Midfield of McCloskey and Ringrose. McCloskey is the guy I got to highlight from the Six Nations. He was in the most magic of magic form. He was offloading, busting tackles, getting try assists, making carries, just doing absolutely everything. Balakoon was likewise very elusive out on the right wing. He is continuing on. Jamie Osborne's shifting to the left wing for this one. And Hugo Keenan, who has missed the safest houses, is there at fullback. Kelleher, Lockman, and Clarkson are your front row replacements. So I genuinely think the front row battle will be tasty. I can't see an edge for either side, to be fair. Byrne, like I said, with his turnovers, will be a menace when he comes on. Timoney is a tackle machine in himself. Craig Casey, Kieran Frawley, and Bundy Aki. So a little bit more coverage in those three back replacements from the Irish, with Kieran Frawley being able to cover like 10, 15, midfield. He can do a bit of everything, and Aki, more specialist midfield cover. Stats-wise, I mentioned the Aussies last year really struggled for go-forward ball. They were, I think, the worst, even worse than Wales. The different opponents, but still just getting like advantage line carries. They really, really struggled in that department. Gave away a few too many penalties, but a great team for winning turnovers. They've got really good turnover merchants in that side. And when they do get the back line going, they can be fantastic. They beat the Box in South Africa last year, which nobody was doing. At Ellis Park, no less. So they got 10 line breaks in that game, and yet when they played Ireland last year, they got 2. So Ireland really shut them down. But they can. They've got it in this team if they can unleash it. Ireland, their line-out was operating really well in the Six Nations, which was pleasing because it's been a potential area of weakness for them, so it's an improvement. But the scrum, as I said, with the propping stocks being thinned out through injury, will be a test for them. Dominant carries, dominant collisions, getting those post-contact meters in the absence of Caelan Doris will be the order of the day for them. If they can get the physical dominance over the Wallabies, you feel like good things are going to happen. On the board, I got 5-zip here. The Wallabies haven't beaten the Irish for the last 5 matches. There was 46-19 last year. It was a bit closer the year before, 22-19. But even the couple of matches in Australia, which date back to 2018 amongst this last 5, were Irish wins as well. So the Irish tend to have the wood over the Wallabies. The bookies have got this one kind of at evens, with Ireland as half-point favourites, and the Rugby Forecast algorithm is a little bit more sure, with Ireland being 8-point favourites. So home advantage not counting for enough for the Wallabies here. This is on at Sydney, New Zealand. Ben O'Keefe is the ref, so maybe a slight advantage for the Wallabies being more familiar with Ben, with him refereeing over in Super Rugby. But yeah, Joe up against Andy. What do you guys reckon? How is it going to go? I don't know. If I was picking, it's kind of hard to go past the Irish, the third-ranked team in the world, against the Wallabies ranked 8, but the Wallabies home advantage does count for something. I'll go for Ireland, but I just hope this one is a cracking even match. Amongst all the matches this weekend, this looks like one of the best. You guys let me know your thoughts. Take care, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.